One of the biggest problems that we have in South Africa is that we have tremendous high levels of youth unemployment, and we've spoken about that ad infinitum on the show. I've spoken about it on the Burning Platform with Pumi. We're all very well aware of it, but nobody, it seems, is coming up with good solutions. I thought that until I found out about Ifundi, which is a training institution that delivers training for corporate and individual consumers. And as I read more, I found out these guys are particularly interested in helping people to upskill and to skill themselves in future careers. So we're not thinking about careers that are on their way out. We're thinking about careers that are on their way in. And the two people who are here to tell us about that are Stefan Lauber, who is the CEO of Ifundi. He is also a pioneer in skills development, and Kapina Tjale, who is a marketing fundi. She is the Ifundi marketing manager. So it's very nice to have you both here on the show this morning. Thank you very much for coming.
Nice to meet you too, Gareth.
Good, and very nice to meet you, Stefan. You're the guy who founded it. You're the CEO and the founder.
Yes, correct.
Very good, and you actually are a doctor. Well, you have an MBA in medicine.
That's a bit of a mistake, to be frank. I studied medicine, but I got a master's in management eventually.
Well, I mean, you studied. All I'm saying is you studied. I'm not saying you're out here practicing medicine. But I think this is amazing because, I mean, it can show you many things about how careers can develop. And obviously, you've been thinking about how you could create opportunities here in South Africa. So let's just start off with how it all began, Ifundi, and maybe you can give us a bit of a backstory to why this came about and also why it's so necessary in this country.
I arrived in 1992 in South Africa, and I started in Orange Farm, setting up a center for community development there. And that was a reflection of my passion for development in general. Eventually, my career evolved, became a management consultant at Deloitte & Touche, and then started Ifundi. At that time, our founders asked for requests for proposals on new ideas around job creation. And that was just at the time when the CITAs launched the learnership. So Ifundi was probably one of the very first companies in South Africa to launch learnerships. We started in the call center industry, which we realized the barriers to entry on one side are low, yet call centers even today cry that they can't find good people. And despite our millions and millions of unemployed youth. So then we realized, how can we close that gap, train people, and then place them in call centers who need the work? Eventually, that worked very well, and we saw the opportunity to expand into other industries. So today, we have over 30 qualifications, and as Kapina earlier on said, or you said it, I think, it's about futuristic, technologically enabled job. In 2017, I conducted through Ifundi consultation with 20 industries. So the banking, insurance, manufacturing, you name all of that. That was a precursor to the original Job Summit. And the question we ask people is, how do you create jobs? What are your challenges as employers, and how can we help you? How can we together create jobs? And when we consulted the banks and the insurance, they says, no, we're not going to create jobs. We're going to destroy jobs. And I said, you can't say that. And you know the problem we're having in South Africa. And the answer was always no. It's the fourth industrial revolution. That was the moment where I realized if there's going to be job destruction, then we need to prepare ourselves in general as companies, but also as individuals, to follow that transition, that transformation into the technological space. So that's where Ifundi changed gear, and since then we have been working in that space.
I mean, it's interesting you mentioned job destruction, but essentially what is really going on is that people are just moving from one area to another. It's not as if those jobs are going to be completely destroyed. People need new skills in new areas.
Absolutely. For me personally, the great revelation of 2023 was ChatGPT, or as they call it, AI tools in general.
Right.
And in our company, at my day-to-day work, I use those tools every day. Does it mean I'm out of a job? No. Rather, I've become much more productive, much more innovative, much more creative. And so all our staff, especially people in the marketing department, they use these tools all the time. So we really have a choice as a business, as Ifundi, to embrace technology, or as an individual, as an employee, to go with it or get left behind. So the issue is, as you said, it's not about, in my personal opinion, it's not about job destruction.
Yeah.
It's about reskilling. And most importantly, I always say to my colleagues, it's about curiosity. The
Love that.
desire
That's
to
fantastic.
change, the desire to be somebody, as a company, to be on the leading edge. I think that is, for me, the number one issue about the future. Do we want to move forward or just stay behind?
Kapina, can you tell us exactly what sorts of jobs? Because, it sounds terrific and it makes sense. And a lot of this stuff is absolutely generally true. But when people hear about it, they go, well, what sort of jobs are you talking about? What sort of training are you talking about? And what kinds of opportunities will exist for people if they do this training with Ifundi?
Oh, okay. So we have a qualification called Accelerated Certificate in IT Digital Skills, and it will enable you to learn systems development within the first year. And then the next 6 months, you're doing a specialization. So you're going to do a specialization within 5 different mediums, which is cybersecurity, robotics, cloud computing, data analytics, and we also have a few more. So basically, you are able to enable yourself to get to know all these different types of qualifications and careers that you can jump into. These careers are futuristic and they are completely digitally enabled. So what we would encourage people out there is that whether you're already within a job or you are going into your first job, you should consider careers that are outside the normal scope and see what is out there in terms of where technology is moving the entire industry.
Now, what's interesting about what you guys do is that you also help to place people in jobs. It's not as if it all just ends once you've got a qualification. You've got a vast network of employers. So that, for many people, would be a far bigger pull factor than just getting a qualification. We have universities that are churning people out and they can't find jobs, right?
Yeah.
So that's interesting. You can earn while you learn, which will maximize the earning potential while you're acquiring that valuable experience. How do you get that right?
Okay, so first we had to look at what is the problem in the market, what is the challenge out there. So even though people are studying at big universities doing traditional education, there is still a lot of unemployment. But then also, even though there's still a lot of graduates, employers are still saying that there's a skills shortage. So what is the problem in all of that? We have graduates, we have people who are looking, we have employers that are looking for
Who's not
people.
telling the truth?
Yes, who's not telling the truth, right? No, but the thing is, the industry is changing very rapidly. And just for instance, AI, it is attacking most industries. So the problem is that traditional education is not producing people that are employable. So what Ifundi does, we make sure that your people who are going to come into your organization are digitally enabled, they're ready to use their skills, and they're even able to fit into all the new processes that the company is now developing and coming up with. And because of AI and all sorts of technology that is coming up, companies are also changing their processes. So people who are already in the job market, they should also upskill so that they can keep up with the demand that is there in order to be digitally enabled.
So, Stefan, an interesting part of this, and you mentioned AI, there are so many tools that are at our disposal now, and people can do your courses online. So you don't have to be at a campus. You don't have to stay somewhere. You don't have to be within driving or walking distance. That's very good. But you also will learn about AI technology and how you could put that to work in your own job going forward. And I think it's pretty interesting that you also will learn to master the skills that employers want. Because as Kapina's already said, there's this disconnect sometimes between the educational institutions and qualifications on one hand and what the market actually needs on the other.
I think the magic word that they have used in South Africa is work integrated learning. Or we can use old-fashioned English, it's called learning on the job.
Right.
Okay. What does that mean is we like to place you as soon as possible in a company
Right.
while you study with us. So there is a link between what you experience at work and what we teach in the classroom. So the two constantly talk to each other. Compared that to the traditional education when you go 3-4 years into university, and when you arrive, you don't even know how to open the door. Okay, so that has been at the heart of Ifundi for the last 20 years, is that approach to work integrated learning. And I do believe, contrary to what many people say in the world, or especially in South Africa, I do believe that the Sita Sakwa system is world leading.
Okay. That's good to hear.
It is best practice. I think in Europe, where we have apprenticeships for hundreds of years, these type of approaches of learning and combining that with work is not new. But to take that integrated approach into the future, so in other words, in IT training, combining giving people work experience while you train them in the latest skills, that system is well entrenched in South Africa. We have our problems, we all know them.
Sure.
But I think the fundamental design, what they used to call, I think they still call it the National Qualifications Framework, I think it is very well set to help South Africa move in the future. And as Ifundi, we have confidence that we can bring that to the world, not just to South Africa, but to help people around the world to develop themselves.
I love it because what you're doing is solving not just a gap in the market, which is what businesses do. And you are a business. We'll talk in a moment about what because people immediately go, well, what is it going to cost me? And you have those numbers for us. But it's also a solution to a much bigger problem in South Africa, which is this huge crisis we have of youth unemployment. And there's nothing worse for someone than to feel like they don't have a purpose. And there are so many things that we can do in this country, and you're obviously showing the way. I believe you're in partnership with Capitec. Is that right?
Yes.
Absolutely, yes.
Yeah, very good. So they help students who can't afford their fees. But your fees are, and I don't think this is unreasonable, application fees 150 Rand?
Absolutely. So we are on a big mission to kind of combat the unemployment curve. So we make sure that our fees that are affordable, first of all. And then on top of that, if you're still struggling to pay the fees, we give you the opportunity to apply for a student loan with Capitec. So the beauty of this is that you get up to 7 years to pay back your student loan, which is almost unheard of. So all you have to do is apply with Ifundi. And then while you're busy with your application process, then we're going to transfer you to Capitec. And then once they know that you are now applying for Ifundi, and then you can come up with a payment agreement within that 7 years. So imagine you're able to fully study, and then finish, get a job, get your first entry-level job. And on top of that, you also get leeway on how to pay your fees.
Because let's be fair about this. I mean, the cost of studying for most people is prohibitive. And it's one of the reasons that we also have so many people who fall out because they can't afford to keep studying, right?
Exactly.
It's terrible. So also, just to let people know, where can they go to get information here? Because there may be parents listening now, there may be friends, there may be the young people themselves who are looking for this opportunity. Where can we go to find out all the info and to figure out the way forward? What's the best?
Okay, so you can definitely go onto our website, which is www.ifundi.co.za. You can also contact us on WhatsApp. We are fully available, and you will see our number first thing when you go onto our website, on all of our social media platforms. And speaking of our social media platforms, we are very active there, and we respond immediately. So, and if you happen to see any of our paid media ads, just go ahead and fill in the lead form, and then a consultant will call you in less than 24 hours. So we make sure that we cater correctly for our students, and we make your application process very easy. It's a quick, easy application form which takes less than 2 minutes, and then once you have submitted it, then that is almost at the end of the road, because you have now started your big journey of applying for varsity. So, and then once you are fully accepted, and if in case you need a student loan, loan, and then you are approved by Capitec, because it also depends on your credit worthiness.
Sure.
But the beautiful thing is that you can actually even get a parent or a friend or a family member to apply for you if in case you have a bad credit worthiness. I know, it's fantastic
listen.
and unheard of.
No, I think this is really extraordinary. It's revolutionary stuff, and if we don't think about these things before they happen, then we will have job losses and we will have even worse unemployment. So well done to both of you for the work that you're doing. And there we go, ifundi.co.za. You can find out everything you need to know there. They're on social media too. And thank you very much, Stefan and Kapina, for coming in this morning.
Thank you so
guys.
much.
See you both.